Good morning, boys and girls. Today is Monday, April the 6th, and today we're going to read a story in just a minute. And as we read this story, today what we're going to be focusing on is the setting. And we're going to kind of review what setting means. So the setting of a story is where the story happens. So look at these different little pictures here, and that can kind of remind you that the setting means the place. So we have earth, airplane, house, forest, castle, a train. Stories can happen in different places. So that's part of the setting. Now, the other part of setting is when does the story happen? So the time, it could be day or night. It could be something that happened long ago in history. Maybe we would know the month or the season. And sometimes we'll get clues based on the type of clothes that the characters wear, things like that. So as we read this story, I want you to think about the setting, okay? Now, our story today is called Charlotte the Scientist is Squished. Now, on the video you just watched, we had some vocabulary words that we talked about. If you haven't watched that video, go back and watch that video first before you listen to the story, because it's going to go over some words you're going to hear in the story. Charlotte the Scientist is Squished. Now look at our cover. Do you think this is going to be a true story, or is this going to be a made-up story? Now think about the clues you're seeing here. We have a rabbit wearing like some scientific equipment, and so wearing clothes and things. I'm not sure. What do you think? Yes, this is a fiction story. This is going to be a made-up story. It couldn't really happen because a rabbit is not really going to be a scientist, number one. And it says Charlotte the Scientist is squished. Now it says she's squished. I wonder what that's going to be. How is she going to be squished, and why? So let's set our purpose for reading. So maybe we will read this story to find out why she's being squished and what she's going to do about it. Okay, here we go. Charlotte the Scientist is squished. Charlotte was a serious scientist. Protective glasses, a lab coat, and a magnifying glass were her essential scientific equipment, plus a clipboard for important notes. Charlotte solved problems by conducting experiments that followed the scientific method. There she is, wearing all of her protective equipment, and she's conducting her experiments. That can kind of tell me something about her as a character already. Maybe she's, very intelligent. She's probably very curious because she likes to do experiments and learn new things. And Charlotte had a problem. She was squished. Now remember we said we were going to talk about the setting. Look at where they are. Looks like they're maybe in their house, and there's a lot of family members there, huh? Maybe that's why she's squished. She was squished at the table. She was squished in the tub. And sometimes she was even squished on the toilet. Hey! If you have a big family, maybe you can kind of make a connection with this character. I came from a big family, and I did feel like I was squished a lot. It had become impossible to conduct her experiments. Her test tubes were taken, her beakers got broken, and her specimens were spoiled. Charlotte needed some space, time to use the scientific method. So it talked about beakers. Beakers are like these glass containers, and specimens are the things that she's got in her beakers. That would be parts of her experiments. So you can see having all those other family members around is getting in the way of her scientific experiments. Step 1, ask a question. How can I get some space around here? Step 2, form a hypothesis. Hypothesis, if I can get rid of my brothers and sisters, I will have room to be a real scientist. So let's think about this character. The way that she's going to go about solving her problem of being squished is she's going to perform a scientific experiment. So she's got a question, and now she's got a hypothesis of what does she think is going to happen. She wants to get rid of her brothers and sisters. I don't know about that. Step 3, test the hypothesis. Experiment. She tried an experiment to make everyone disappear, but it didn't work. So she first tries making them all disappear, but can't do it. She tried another experiment to make herself disappear, but that didn't work either. So look what she's doing. She's painting herself the same color as the background, and that still didn't work because looks like little sister just sits on top of her thinking she's a shrub. If she was going to get some space, she would have to go there. So look what she does. She goes in here, you hear all this banging and clanging, and look what she did. What do you think she was doing in there? Yes, you made an inference. When she's over here and you hear the banging and clanging, you can see the top of this rocket. So maybe she's making this rocket. Looks like a carrot. She's gonna go to space. Here she is. Looks pretty happy. Let's see, maybe this experiment will work. She doesn't look squished. Step 4, make and record observations. Charlotte was no longer squished at the table. She was no longer squished in the tub, and Charlotte could take as long as she wanted on the toilet. Space was splendid. Now let's think about the setting. In the beginning of the story, where were they? Right, they were in their house, and it was a lot of people in there. But then the setting changed. Where is Charlotte now? Let's look back. Now, Charlotte went to, I don't know if it's the moon or another planet, but she's not on Earth anymore, is she? Here she is with all of her room that she has to move around now. Finally, step 5, draw conclusions. She had all the room she needed to conduct very important experiments using her protective glasses, lab coat, and magnifying glass. Her test tubes were tidy, her beakers looked brilliant, and her specimens were sparkling. Her hypothesis was correct. She finally had room to be a scientist. So she was right. If she went to space and got away from everyone, she would have plenty of room. Not squished anymore. So changing her setting did help her, looks like. Oh, wait a minute. The only problem was there was no one to talk to at meal times. No one to blow bubbles with in the tub. And what was Charlotte supposed to do when she ran out of toilet paper? Hello? Space was lonely. Oh, so she solved one problem, but then that created a second problem. Now she's lonesome. Back to step 2, form a new hypothesis. If I can have friends in space, then I won't be lonely and I can be a real scientist. Time for more experiments. Charlotte tried chocolate, but it was too tempting. And the balloons kept floating away. So first she tried to have friends that were chocolate, and then she tried having balloon friends. Neither one of these things worked. You think she's missing her brothers and sisters? And robot bunnies were poor conversationalists. They got ruined in the bathtub and tangled in the toilet paper. Charlotte missed her family. She even missed being squished. So she tried one last experiment. There she is looking back at Earth. What do you think she's going to do? Oh, look what she did. What can you infer is happening here? Yeah, there's her family, and she is coming back to Earth. Her setting is changing again. And reached a new conclusion. Charlotte didn't need outer space. So look, here's her home with all the people in it, or family. And look what she's doing. She's back with them, but look what she's doing. She just needed her own space. So look how she solved her problem. Sometimes she's with her family, and when she kind of gets squished a little too much, she goes out into her rocket ship and has some time to herself. So that was the story, Charlotte the Scientist is Squished. So think back about the setting. There were some different settings in this story. They started the story out with Charlotte's family in their little house and too many family members, and she felt squished. So she went to a different planet, or the moon. We don't really know which one, but she left Earth. And she was by herself for a while in that setting. But she got lonely, so she ended up coming back, being back with her family again, but now she has her rocket ship to go to when she starts feeling too squished. So think about why the setting changing and everything was important in this story. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the story, and we will see you next time. Bye.